This is a 2007 NS Pajero 3.2 litre automatic with an active type DPF. The purpose of this video is to show you that under normal circumstances, the DPF system and regeneration burn process is not something the driver has to worry about, hopefully reducing some of the anxiety around the system. I'll also show you what it means and what to do if the DPF dash light comes on. Connected to the vehicle, we've got a cheap OBD dongle, and in front of us a phone running Talk Pro. By monitoring parameters in the ECU, we can see that the car is requesting to do a DPF regeneration whenever possible to do so. Over here, you can see the soot loading values. In particular, the calculated summation or accumulation reading is quite substantial. Because of this, the ECU has now requested a regen, which you can see over here, and by this simple green indicator over here. However, at this stage, the driver is unaware of the vehicle trying to do a regen, as it's not an issue yet. We'll now go for a short drive and see that the car will try to start regenerating. Notice that it's not until certain conditions are met that the car will start regenerating. You can see that by the fuel being injected here into the exhaust stroke. As you can see, I've come to a set of stoplights, but the car is still spraying in fuel over here, trying to maintain those optimal temperatures to continue the burn, so that when I drive off, it can just continue on. You can see the soot by summation value slowly counting down as we go for a drive, indicating that the DPF is cleaning out some of that soot or particulate matter inside it. The DPF regen causes some oil dilution to happen. This is because it sprays diesel into the exhaust stroke. This is nothing to worry about, and it will just vapor off the next time you go on a high-speed drive. I'm now going to stop the car and end the drive. I've just started to go on another drive, and you can see that it's trying to pick up from where it left off at. It's starting to spray fuel into the exhaust again to start the regeneration, and the temperatures are rising over here. The soot by summation value is slowly starting to go down again as well. It will continue to do this until it's happy that the burn is finished. Typically, you would do either one decent drive or a number of shorter trips, and the regen would complete without the driver ever knowing. The car then wouldn't do a regen again for several hundred kilometers. You can see that the last time it did one was 480 kilometers ago. However, for the purpose of this video, I'm deliberately going to do consecutive short trips without it allowing to get to conditions and finish, just to show you what happens. Okay, it's been over a week now of doing back-to-back consecutive short trips. I've done 18 short trips, and I've calculated them up to be no more than 30 Ks, probably between 20 and 30 kilometers. And the DPF light has still not come on. The one that shows up over here, the warning light to take it for a drive. This is all still the same DPF request burn by the ECU. You can see that over here, and by the count over here, and it's the summation type. The soot by summation accumulation calculation has gone up just a little bit with all of these short drives. I expected actually a lot more, but it hasn't. The oil dilution has gone up a little bit. Again, that should just vapor off as you drive at high speeds anyway. And so on this video, I was trying to show you what to do when the light comes on. And instead what happens, I can't even get the light to come on. Even with me knowing it's doing the regens over here and forcing the car to turn off early and doing all these short trips, still there isn't a problem. I imagine if you did all of these short trips like I've done, but with that value sitting up at 11.5 or higher, then probably the light would have come on because there's not much room left for it to continue going up in the summation. But because I did bring it down, and you saw on that first drive, I brought it down to like 6.1 or something, and that's probably given it quite a bit of headroom to keep sustaining these short trips without an issue. But in any case, if you were driving it around, even with short trips, I noticed after about a kilometer of driving, it already starts trying to regen and bring up those exhaust temps. So if you did any trip that was longer than a few kilometers, it would probably bring that value down anyway and give you that headroom. And then you'd be able to go on a few more drives until it eventually got enough chance to do its full burn and bring it all the way down to zero. Again, so when the system is working fine, there really isn't anything to worry about, and the system probably gets a lot more blame than it should. And most of the times, looking at forums and chat groups, it seems to be because of some other issue, like the mechanic put in the wrong oil type, or there's something, a sensor upstream that's faulty, like a MAF sensor, or a split in the intercooler pipe, or a leaky injector that's maybe overfueling. So it's something usually upstream, but because the DPF's the last piece in the system, it cops all the blame. So I hope, if anything, I've showed you that there's nothing to worry about with your DPF on your Pajero. Take it for a drive as normal if the light comes on. If the light doesn't go out after a 15-20 minute drive, then I would start looking into some of those other things I mentioned before. In saying that, most of the time the DPF light should just go out and you can just continue on driving without worrying about the system as it does its thing. Just to wrap up the video, I'll now go for a drive and show you how the DPF system will finish up its burn, and you'll see all the values reset. I'm only doing about 60 kilometers an hour, and it's happily doing its burn, and the soot is coming down. There's no need to go onto a freeway and do 100 kilometers per hour. And as you can see, the DPF burn has just finished. It doesn't actually always count down right down to zero, but you can see the active light at the top left has gone off, and the DPF temperatures and other exhaust temperatures are dropping rapidly. You can also see the DPF count is incremented by 1, and there's a slightly bit more dilution in the oil. Thanks all for watching.